Leanne's Garden Tour, take 2, because I screwed up the first one. We're starting the February 27th garden tour at the tractor barn, where you can see I have 3 potted conifers that are going all sorts of directions. They're way too big for those pots, so I've got to get them out of those pots. So that's a project for very soon. So here we are, we're sort of at the midpoint in the driveway, and now I'm going to take you down the driveway and through the whole garden, or at least a good chunk of the garden. Oops, there's good dog Cousteau, old guy. So there's the road to the house, and as we start down you can see that even though it's February 27th, I have daffodils blooming, and you'll see a lot more of them. So we walk down the driveway, and to your left is my rhododendron garden, and I probably have, oh gosh, I don't know, 35 to 50 rhododendrons along in here on both sides, and this is my path into the rhododendron garden. Doesn't look like a path because the path is covered with fern fronds, because in the spring I try and cut back the ferns closest to the driveway, so that what you see is fresh new green ferns and less of this brown stuff. And then with the fern fronds I cut off, I put them on the path, and it makes the path super soft as they dry out. Well, it just makes it super soft all the time. And then when we get the chipper, I put the wood chips on the fern fronds, and it's just like walking on carpet. It's so soft. So here we are, we're proceeding down the driveway slowly. It's wet today, so everything looks really lush, but it's kind of squishy and sloppy. This is one of my favorite trees. Big, you know, like 100-year-old tree. Oh, you can't see it where I am. Well, now you can kind of see it. It splits into 2 trunks, and then later it rejoins. It's very cool. So I have the driveway lined with dogwoods and rhododendrons, or at least I'm trying to. The dogwoods are not thriving yet, but I still have hope. So here we go down the driveway. Here's the other end of the rhododendron path covered with fern fronds. And here is a very tall snag. We left the snag. It's a rotten tree, but we have so many owls and woodpeckers, and you need so many snags per acre if you're going to have like forested property. So we left the snag, and it is used all the time by the birds. So I'm really hoping that I can get a climbing hydrangea to grow up this snag. I think that would look so cool. I've got a couple planted at the base here, and I'm waiting for them to take off. Now over here, oops, sorry, on the right, oh, there's a sculpture done by Carol of the eagle head nested in some rhododendrons and other conifers. This is one of my favorite areas because it's so low maintenance. It's really just conifers and broadleaf evergreens for the most part, and ground cover, and so it's turned out to be one of my better planned garden areas, and I don't have a lot of well-planned garden areas. See that stump? That stump is from like a 120-year-old tree that fell down up the road. Fortunately, fell down and covered pretty much the whole road up to the shed. It was like 100 feet tall, so that was scary, but at least it fell the right way. There's Arthur's dump truck. There's the, well, the front of the house, as some say. And off to your left is a path that we're working on now with slate. We need to go get some more slate so we can finish this. And then this is my crab apple peony garden. I have like 5 crab apples here and about, I don't know, 15 to 20 peonies. The peonies are in these areas where I have rocks, because if I don't put rocks around them, then I can't remember where they are, and I start digging and I dig them up. So this garden has evolved over time. It's had a bunch of stuff in it and a bunch of stuff transplanted out of it, and one of the old timers is this weeping purple beech, which has no place here at all, but I can't bring myself to chop it down. I also have this giant fig tree which has no place here. So I don't know, maybe someday I'll bring myself to chop those down. And then just the border against the woods. Okay, and now here we are at the Dawson Fleming junkyard, where I have my piles of manure and bark and compost, lots of compost and building materials not yet used, a junk area that we try and keep kind of out of the line of sight of people coming down to the house. This is the food garden. Did I mention that? Arthur built this, and it's decorated with tiles from Carol, Arthur's artist sister, who is a sculptor, and so that sort of adds some fun to the food garden. Arthur's been building me one or two raised beds in here a year. We're almost full up now. We've been using galvanized for the raised beds lately, and it looks so much nicer. I really like it. So that's where I have the apple trees and anything else the deer will eat. And here's the front gate of the food garden. And then, well, let's go over here. To the right, we have the house. There's the outdoor room. There's the front of the house. Now that is what Arthur says. Arthur says the front of the house is where the front door is, but I think the front of the house is where the view is on the west side. This is the east side. But anyway, this is the east side of the house, and even though it's February, you can see things are looking pretty lush, and I have all kinds of bulbs coming up. It's just crazy. But it's so green. I love that. And in the back you can see that coral bark maple. It's so red. It's really nice. And it's really wet out here. And then we have Arthur's heavy equipment, which is very useful because we have a big project over here. So, gosh, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 years ago, Arthur built this rock wall over here. And it's a really long rock wall. It was really nicely done. And he had lots of help from friends and family, but not from me because I had just had surgery. But gosh, I think it's, you know, it's probably 100 feet long. So it's planted with some native huckleberries, and then you come down here and the rock wall ended right by where Cousteau is standing. So I decided, well, we should take the rock wall, or at least the rock border, over to the food garden so we have some continuity here. And then I'm going to plant food that the deer won't eat. So right now I have food that the deer will eat that I need to transplant, but I also have rhubarb and some garlic from Daniel here and there. And then over here I got to do the same thing so we have some consistency. I need to dig out around that pine tree, and then we'll put in a rock border, and then everything will look like it hangs together. Won't that be nice? Okay, last but not least, the west side of the garden. There's the outdoor room from the south side, and that's where we keep the logs for the fireplace. And here's the patio. There's not a lot happening here. More bulbs. This is my giant grapevine, which I hope I pruned well this year so that I get a bunch of grapes, because last year I had the best grapes ever. It was delicious. So when you look west, that's where the water is, although water and sky blend together today because it's very, very gray. There's the rock. Cousteau and the neighbor dogs all like to hang out on the big rock. It's like a 2-ton rock, and we moved it several times when we were building the house. So this is a project area because right down here on this slope we're going to put in a fire pit, I hope sometime this summer. So that's exciting. And we recently exposed this wire. See, this is really good. We have a big thick electrical wire that's underwater. That wire comes from the house, and we put it in so that we could eventually put some lighting out here, but I want to take it down to the new fire pit area so we have lighting at night. Won't that be cool? So this is just a planting area, not much coming up yet. Oh, except for my tulips, which I am chagrined to show you have been eaten to the nubs by the deer. And you know, look, I'm only 15 feet away from the house, so they're very bold. There's my passion vine that needs to be cut back desperately. It's just dangling everywhere and flies around in the wind. The Western View again, one of Arthur's collections of tugboat propellers. He's a funny guy. There's one down there at the bottom of the hill. You probably can't see it. I have these cool grasses that look this gorgeous gold and orange and green color all year. I really like them. And then there's the guest bedroom and Harry Lauder's walking stick, which is at its peak right now because it's got all these long gold catkins and it's got these great curly branches that I love, but it's really too big a tree for this little space. I need to transplant it before it gets any bigger, which is not going to be easy. Kitchen, what else? It's getting too wet out here. I can't show you anything else. This is a big project area out here, and maybe you'll see some progress later in the year. Bye.